I'm not really upset by it. It gives me an opportunity to reach people and talk about something else, quite honestly. As you said, I'm an oceanographer. My background is actually in the earth sciences. I'm exploring our planet, and since 72% of it is under the ocean, that means I don't quite spend 72% of my time under the ocean, but I've been doing this now. I just turned 70, and I've been doing oceanographic expeditions for 53 years all over the world. This is about my 135th expedition. In fact, it's the last one we'll be doing in the Mediterranean, so this is sort of a bittersweet. We've been exploring the Mediterranean for 25 years now, and we've been working in the Black Sea for 13, and this marks the end of our explorations in those two seas, and we head west on a trip around the world. It'll take us about 3 or 4 years. So
I suspect that we are never, ever going to uncover all the secrets of the deep. It's extraordinary, isn't it, that it's such a vast area of planet Earth, and it is relatively unexplored. There must be hidden wonders and surprises down there that we will eventually uncover, one hopes.
Well, that's the whole principle behind the EV Nautilus. It's the only ship in the world. It's called EV Nautilus, which stands for Exploration Vessel. As I said, I've done over 130 expeditions, and when I look back upon them, the ones that I'm proudest of are the ones that were true discoveries, where we found something we didn't know existed. For as far as I'm concerned, my most important discovery was the discovery of hydrothermal vent systems, new life forms off the Galapagos Islands in 1977, discovery of tremendous mineral deposits beneath the sea in 79, and all of those discoveries were ones we didn't know existed. So true exploration means going where you've never been before on planet Earth and seeing terrain you've never seen before, and then making fundamental discoveries. And that's the purpose of the Nautilus. But we've got it now where it's not just us doing it, the world can participate. If you go to our website, nautiluslive.org, I'm looking at the bottom of the ocean right now, and if you go to that website, you'll be looking at what I'm looking at. So we're sharing our expeditions as we do them. We do programming for schools and museums, aquariums, and science centers around the world. So this is all about the human race exploring their planet, and that's what our mission is.
Now, you said you were about to finish in the Mediterranean, but you've been here before, and I think you've come back to have a look at the Eratosthenes Seamount. What is special about that, or what do you think might be special about it?
Well, it's a very interesting piece of real estate. Eratosthenes is a big tabletop seamount that is being carried on the back of the African plate. And as that African plate, as you know, is colliding with the Eurasian plate, and it's colliding with Cyprus. There's a trench between this seamount and Cyprus, and that's because the seamount has a big coral cap. It's very light, and it doesn't want to go down. Normally, when plates are in collision, the oceanic plate plunges beneath the other, like you have in the Helentian Trench south of Crete. There, the plate is going down beneath the island of Crete. Here, it's resisting that, and it's in a head-on train wreck. And what's happening is this seamount is being crushed by this collision, and it's literally having methane squeezed out of it. And that methane's coming out the side of the seamount, and it's feeding an amazing animal community of tube worms and millions of clams and very exotic creatures that we had found before when we came here 2 years ago. So we're very fascinated in this fascinating feature because it's putting up quite a battle in its collision with Cyprus, and so it's fascinating. As you know, Cyprus, the copper mines of Cyprus are a piece of the ancient seafloor that were brought up, and with them the copper that's been mined since the Bronze Age. So this neck of the woods, this area of eastern Mediterranean, is geologically very fascinating and very active, and that's why we're here.
And of course, it's very often in the area that you're currently looking at in the Mediterranean that when we get earth tremors here, they tend to emanate from that sort of area. So does that mean that the seabed presumably is changing all the time?
all the time. In fact, we have Cypriot geologists from the Geologic Survey of Cyprus who are on our team, sharing. In fact, they're on watch right now, or they'd be talking to you. But they're up in the control van. They sit side by side with our scientists. We share all the data, and they're naturally, because Cyprus is where they live, they're very interested in understanding this collision that's going on between the African plate and the Eurasian plate, because it constantly affects the people living on Cyprus.
I suppose part of the reason for this delay, if you like, in exploring such hidden depths is the fact that it's not until recently we had the technology and the underwater craft, remotely operated submarines and so on to do it. How important is that technological development, and what would you like to see, Robert, to be developed that might help you in the sort of work you do? Because I'm sure there are some times that you have to think outside the box with the gear you've got to obtain what you're looking for.
Quite honestly, our biggest challenge is getting people to be interested in the ocean. We have better maps of Mars than we have of our own planet. So most of our planet is unexplored. Most of the public, unfortunately, is not interested in what lies beneath the sea. It's sort of out of sight, out of mind. They can look up and they can see the moon. They can see the stars in the sky, and then there's always a fascination with outer space. Our problem, our challenge, is getting people to be interested in planet Earth. I don't believe we're going to escape this planet, and so we need to better understand the planet on which we're living. It's a living creature, and we're seeing it behave. It can behave violently, causing volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tsunamis. The more and more we can understand the Earth, the more we can live in harmony with it, and there's a tremendous amount of underwater resources. We've been working not only off Cyprus, we've been working off Israel and Spain and Greece and Turkey, and in many of those countries, they now are acquiring the same kind of technology. We've worked with numerous countries throughout the Mediterranean, and many of them, through their experience aboard the Nautilus, now say they want to get their own Nautilus so that they can continue the exploration now that the Nautilus is leaving.
And I guess that the other important thing, considering we've made such a mess of the land part of Earth, how carefully are we looking after our oceans?
Well, fortunately, most of the ocean is beyond the reach of humans. We have seen, while we're diving along, we're working now at about 900 meters. In this area, we'll be working mostly between 1,500 meters and about 800 meters. And yes, we see trash. We not only see modern trash, we see ancient trash. We see where the ancient mariners did the same thing they do today. They throw things overboard, and they mark their trails. So, but it's not really, when you really look at it, it doesn't add up to a tremendous amount of trash. So I'm not overly concerned about pollution in the deep sea. Most of the damage being done to the ocean is being done close to shore, in shallow water, in the coastal zone, and that's where you really see the damage being done. We've certainly done a lot of work in other countries in archaeology, for example, and we see the damage done by trawlers in destroying the antiquity that lies beneath the sea. So we do see damage by humans, but most of it is less than 500 meters down.
Well, that's great news. Now, finally, I know I can't keep you much longer. Can I ask you about the Jason project? You talked about getting people interested in the oceans and in what they have to offer. And, of course, Cyprus being an island, we're perfectly placed. We have beautiful sea all around us. But the Jason project reaches out across the world. Is that one way of, if you like, getting that message across?
Yes. In fact, if you go to jason.org or Immersion Learning, we have numerous websites, but the best one to go to is nautiluslive.org, and you can see our different outreach programs. If you go to the oceanexplorationtrust.com, you'll see all of the outreach programs we're doing. I'm actually sitting in the studio aboard the Nautilus. We just transmitted a show. I think we're doing six shows a day coming off the ship that people can tune into. But our goal is to take our explorations and the excitement that surrounds it, the telepresence technology we do it, to reach out and touch the next generation of young people and stimulate their interest so that they'll study a little harder in school. And the Jason Project is one of those programs.
Did you ever think when you first started your career, I think in the Navy, that you would end up doing the sort of work that you've done over the last 50 years?
I never thought that I would be sitting on my own ship. I never thought that would ever happen. But I'm thrilled that we have the Nautilus. I'm thrilled we have the Corps of Exploration that's aboard it. It's all about the people. When the kids go to the website, we hope they see role models for them. We have, I think, almost 40% of the team aboard the ship are young ladies. So it's definitely a sport that both men and women can play. What we try to do is to show young people that they can become involved in this great scientific adventure of exploring their planet, but we want them to study a little harder in school.
Okay, well, I'm looking at Channel 1 now on the seabed of Nautilus Live, and you've got lots of other things for people to have a look at there. So the future is the oceans, presumably, and with the sort of research that Nautilus and you and your team are doing, Robert, we may understand it a little bit better, hopefully.
Well, thank you, and stay tuned.